unpunished. So there is still a price to pay for that. God's methods and God's ways, his will have not changed. He will go about different methods, but the principle of his word, his law is always going to be the same. So Jeremiah has written a letter to those who were taken out of the land of Judah, namely their capital city of Jerusalem, and they've been taken. Even the King Jeconiah was taken into captivity by King Nebuchadnezzar to Babylon. So they were under the Babylonian rule and the tyranny of that area. Okay. Jeremiah is teaching them not to listen to false prophets who promise to release and deliver them quickly. God has already told them that your judgment is 70 years in exile. But he's telling them, don't listen to the lies. God has already spoken. So how many of us are going before false prophets, or we are looking for some alternate way around God's will when God has already told us in his will what he has declared for us? See, that is strictly disobedience. I like how my bishop says this all the time, and it's very true. If we choose to obey God in some things, it is total disobedience. It is totally irrelevant, right? Because if God is instructing us, then we need to do exactly what he's telling us. So God's will is he tells them to make do where they are, and it may seem strange, right? Because we're in a foreign land and you want us to get settled. Everything that we know, we're now in this foreign land. We've been taken into captivity, right? So how many of us have found ourselves in some strange season in life and God is telling us to do something that don't make sense? Obedience is better than sacrifice. So we can see God's ways have always been the same, right? So he orders them to make way, marry, plant gardens, pray for peace in this nation. Okay. And then he says that he was assuring them that they will be returned. They will be returned back to whence they came. So God's purpose in this was that they would have a different perspective, that they would begin to trust God. They would begin to obey him, right? I believe he wanted their eyes to be open. If you're being punished for disobedience and you didn't obey me in the last season, this is the time now to obey me. So God's promise was after 70 years, he will remember them and they will be restored back to their original home. Okay. So in Jeremiah 29:11, he tells them, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, thus saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. So no matter where they are now, he has promised them that you have an expected end. You have my promise. He says, then you shall call upon me, and you shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And you shall seek me and find me when you search for me with all of your heart. And searching for God with all of your heart means that we can't be giving ourselves over to idol worship, because God is a jealous God. He will have no other God before him. Okay. And then we can't be listening to some lying false prophet or some doctrine that doesn't align with God's word, that isn't God's word. Right. So we search for God with our whole hearts, but that means we are totally committed and surrendered to him, and that we do not walk in disobedience.